Soldiers of Sparta, brothers who today prepare to face a decisive battle, heirs to an immortal legacy. Before we dive into the chaos of war, I want to talk about something that transcends the battlefield. I am talking about the foundations of our lives. Because just as a house cannot stand without a solid foundation, a man cannot build a dignified life without firm and unshakable principles. From the day each of you took your first step as a soldier of Sparta, you have learned that discipline, honor, and courage are the pillars that sustain our existence. These principles are not just words engraved in our hearts, but the foundation on which we build everything we are. Just as a river flows through mountains and valleys, cutting through the land and shaping its path over time, our lives also follow a course. If the river does not have a strong bed, if it is not guided by its firm banks, it disperses, loses strength, and turns into a stagnant swamp. Likewise, without solid principles, a man's life becomes confused, directionless, and purposeless. Every decision we make, every word we speak, must be rooted in the values that guide our actions. These values do not change with the wind, nor do we mold them according to our will or convenience. They are timeless, immutable, like the rock of a mountain. A man without principles is like a valley without rivers, dry and lifeless. But a man who lives righteously builds his path like a mighty river, flowing strong and steady. Our lives can be compared to the great mountains that rise imposingly around us. A mountain is not formed in a day. It rises over eons, withstanding storms, wind, and time. And so it is with the life of a wise man. It is not about seeking shortcuts or easy paths. If we want to build a strong life, a life that will withstand the storms of war, time, and destiny, we must be willing to climb these mountains. We must face difficulties and challenges with patience and perseverance. In war as in life, moments of adversity are inevitable. There will be times when it seems as if the weight of the world is on our shoulders, when the enemy seems invincible and the future uncertain. But my warriors, it is at these times that the good foundation of principles will keep us standing. When the storm comes, when the wind blows hard, it will be our values, firmly planted in the soil of our souls, that will keep us from falling. There is a proverb that has been repeated by many emperors of our time, including Agesilaus, one of the great kings of Sparta. He said, "Victory comes not to those who run the fastest, but to those who know where their foundation is." What did he mean by this? That he who knows his principles, who has built his life on solid foundations, does not rush forward with the fear of failure. He presses forward with the confidence that his actions are based on something much greater than the present moment. Now, warriors, I want you to think of our journey as a walk through a great valley. On our walk, we will encounter temptations, shortcuts that promise to save us the effort required to reach the top of the mountain. The valley is the place where man is tempted to set aside his principles. It is the place where he can choose ease, convenience, and immediate pleasure over discipline, righteousness, and honor. But remember, soldiers, the valley is also where men lose their way. Many who once walked with strength and purpose have strayed into darkness by choosing the easy path. The temptation to abandon principles for temporary comfort is a trap we must avoid at all costs. For a man who abandons his principles will soon discover that he has built his life on sand, and when the first storm hits, everything he has built will crumble. Just as rivers can flow through mountains and carve valleys, so our principles carve the future we will build. A man who lives by his values is creating a legacy that will flow for generations. His name will be remembered, not because he gained wealth or power, but because he lived with integrity, honor, and strength. I say this because I know that as Spartans, we do not seek glory for the sake of fame alone. We seek glory because we want our names to be associated with something eternal, something that transcends the present. We fight not only for ourselves, but for our children, our brothers, and all those who come after us. Think of the great emperors and leaders who came before us. Think of Lycurgus, the legendary lawgiver of Sparta, who with his wisdom and vision shaped the city we know today. He built Sparta on a foundation of discipline, strength, and loyalty. These principles, which he established generations ago, are the same ones that guide our actions today. Lycurgus knew that a city, like a man, is only as strong as the foundation on which it is built. Like him, We must build our lives on the solid rock of values that do not crumble with time. Do not build your lives on the shifting sands of empty promises, selfish ambition, or the desire for temporary power. Instead, build your lives on the mountains of honor and duty, on the rivers of justice and courage. What are these principles, I ask you? What constitutes the foundation of a Spartan? They are simple, yet profound. Discipline, courage, loyalty, honor. These are the values that have guided us through countless battles, that have strengthened us in times of peace, and that will continue to guide us even when we are far from this world. These principles are like the mountains that surround Sparta, ancient, unshakable, and eternal. They are the reason our city is respected and feared throughout the world. No matter what the future brings, no matter how many enemies rise against us, as long as we uphold these principles, Sparta will stand firm. And so should the lives of each of you. No matter how many battles you face, no matter how great the challenges, if your foundation is firm, you will endure. If you build your lives on these principles, then you will be ready to weather any storm that fate brings. Finally, brothers, remember this. What defines a man is not what he achieves in a day or in a battle. What defines a man is the constancy of his principles, the firmness with which he upholds his character throughout his life. Because, at the end of it all, what will remain of us will not be our temporary achievements, but the memory of how we lived, of who we were, and of the values we defended. May our lives, like the mountains and rivers, be remembered for their strength and permanence. May each of us build our legacy on the firm foundation of the principles that Sparta taught us, and may our names be spoken by future generations with respect, admiration, and honor. Soldiers, warriors of Sparta, today we fight for our lives, but above all, we fight for the principles that guide our existence. May these principles guide us to victory, for Sparta and for the eternity of our values.